Hello everyone, welcome to my class. I am an English teacher. Let's start. Today's topic is active and passive voice. In this lesson, I give short information about the role of passive and I can explain in detail basic rules. Now, what's the role of passive? Passive voice is very important while we are speaking and also writing. If you can focus on the IELTS exam, you have to use passive in the writing 1 and the writing task 2. Now, except this, I give a short information about the role. The role of passive is very important, and while we are forming passive, we usually focus on the person or object. Especially here, this is at the in the middle of the sentence. We usually hear in our sentence object. For example, I read this book every day, or I clean this room every day. In these sentences, this room and this book is an object of the sentence. And in these sentences, you can change into the passive. Now, what is it passive? If you can focus on the active, in the active, usually an action usually performed by subject. For example, subject performs an action. Or in the passive voice, especially in the passive voice, we usually focus on the object. Now, you can look at this example. In this example, for example, Alex wrote an essay about grandfather's Alzheimer. In this sentence, wrote, past simple tense. If this sentence change into the passive form, we can change the tense. For example, was written. For example, an essay about Alzheimer was written by Alex. This is passive form. Now, in the first sentence, in the active sentence, Alex is a subject and the object is an essay about Alzheimer. And the second sentence, we are focusing on the essay about Alzheimer, and we are focusing on this one. But not here. This says Alex. Alex is not interesting for us. Now, let's continue. Now, in this lesson, students, I explain in detail every tense. For example, present simple passive. Present simple passive form, M is A plus verb 3. If you are paying attention, in every tense you can see in every passive tense you can see verb 3. Verb 3 is irregular form, past participle. Now you can present simple passive, you can see some examples. For example, millions of emails are sent and received every day. In this sentence here, this is are received. Why are plural? Because this is millions of emails. In the second sentence, you can see England is visited by millions of tourists every year. Here this is England is a country in one country. That's why here this is visited. In this slide, you can see some negative and also question form of the present simple passive. Now let's continue here. The next is past simple passive. Past simple was verb 3. In this slide, you can see was verb. Why? Because past simple, M is A, past form was verb. That's why here was verb plus verb 3. And these examples you can see. For example, I was given this 2 days ago. Or maybe some books were given by some students. In such kind of sentences, you are seeing that past simple form. And the next is, we can see future. Future active. Now, before starting passive, I give you a short pause. Here, this is active voice. For example, active voice, I go to Samarkand next year, for example. In this sentence, I, here this is subject, and the go, here this is action. But in the passive, usually form will be plus verb 3, past participle. For example, in the next slide, you can see some examples to future. For example, I shall be shown the picture. Or maybe, for example, if we are focusing on the negative form, for example, they will not be shown the picture. And also negative and question form you can see, and you can look this slide and understand. And the next one we can continue here, present continuous or present progressive. In some textbooks you can see present progressive or continuous. This passive form is am is are being verb 3. Why? Because continuous, that's why ing add here it says plus be. And the next slide you can see this problem is being discussed now or at the present. This problem is singular, that's why we can put here this is. If the here this is maybe problem is are, we can put here. A negative form, for example, this room is not being cleaned at the moment. Here this we are focusing on this room, but by whom or by who not necessary for us. We are only interested in the room. And also negative question form you can understand from this slide. And the next one, past progressive or past continuous passive. Here I think that basic rules, passive basic rules are quite easy to understand and remember. That's why you can pay attention and try to learn by heart. If you know basic rules of passive basic rules, I think that you can make up sentence easily. And the progressive tenses, for example, was, were, being, and verb 3. And in these slides you can see some examples. For example, the room was being cleaned when I arrived. Here this is two small sentences. For example, when I arrived, the room was being cleaned by someone, but not necessary for us, especially if we are interested in the room. And the next one, for example, exam papers were being prepared at 4 p.m. yesterday. Also in this sentence, yesterday at 4, especially time, here exam papers were being prepared. By whom? By teachers, by lectures, not necessary for us. In passive tenses, we are only interested in the some object. And the next slide, you can see here present perfect. Before starting present perfect, I give you a short information about future continuous. The present future continuous passive, there is no exist in English language and English grammar. That's why we can jump here present perfect. If we can focus on the present perfect, here active form have, has plus verb 3, and if we making and forming passive form, here have, has, been plus verb 3. For example, in this slide you can see, have you ever been bitten by a dog? Or I'm not going to the party because I haven't been invited. Now if you are focusing on these sentences here, have, been plus verb 3. For example, the first word bitten is irregular verb, and the next sentence here invited here past participle regular verb. And if you are forming negative form, you have to put after have, has, you can put here not. For example, I haven't been invited, and so on. In the question form of present perfect passive, you can take the have, has, and you can put at the beginning of the sentence. In these slides, you can see examples. And the next one, past perfect passive and also future perfect passive. Dear students, you can see in these slides some examples, past perfect and the future perfect passive. And if you focus on the form, for example, had been verb 3 and the future perfect passive, you can hear this is will have been verb 3, or this is past participle. And the next, now students, if you can look at this picture, how can we picture, or maybe here's this table. In this table is showing you a whole of the passive, especially main passive tenses. And the first horizontal version you are seeing here, this is present, past, and future, and also vertical version you are seeing simple, continuous, and perfect. These perfect tenses are so important. That's why you have to learn if you want to improve your English grammar, and also if you want to speak fluently. That's why all learners and students should learn and should know, I think. And here this is after these slides you can see modal passive. While learners or students fixed modal, infinitive, gerund, and also other passives, they are usually mixed. Now focus on the modal. Modal passive is very easy. Modal plus be verb 3. For example, active voice, I can solve this problem, or maybe I can do this homework. And as the examples, you can use modal verbs. So I have to buy some products. Such kind of sentences, modal is used in active voice. If you want to form a passive voice, you can take the modal verb after object and be plus verb 3. For example, this problem can be solved. Or maybe George might be sent to America by his company in August. Or maybe other examples you can see in these slides. And the next, students, at this end of the class, I can offer one example. In this exercise, you can see there are many sentences and you have to do this exercise. By doing, you can improve and you can remember how many how many passive tenses you learn. And if you have any misunderstanding, or if you have any if you don't understand in some parts, you can see this video lesson and you can improve, and you have to do this exercise. If you do exercises after all video lessons, you can improve, and you can improve your speaking and also writing. Now, if you are doing this exercise, you can check your answer. This is also ready version of answer. And I think that students, today's lesson is over. If you have any misunderstanding, you can ask our teachers, our department. And I think that understandable. See you later again.